Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Isn't it a good morning? Read into it what you may. But before I get started, 23 years ago, we all, those of us who are old enough to remember, know where you were. It was 23 years ago that 9/11 happened. And over 2,700 lives were lost in New York, in Washington, D.C., and the suburbs of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So we want to take a moment of silence to remember those victims, their families, the friends, the nation, and really it was a global flow of tears. So if we would take a moment of silence to remember and say, never forget to remember. Thank you. So how many of you are feeling joy this morning too?
That we have everything in order. So before we even jump into Barbara, Diane, we're going to ask that Barbara Perkins, President and CEO of the International Black Women's Public Policy Institute, would give us words of inspiration this morning. You guys help me welcome Barbara Perkins.
Good morning, good morning, good morning to all the queens and the kings in the room. And most importantly to our convener, our leader, CEO, Melanie Campbell.
Yes.
So this is the day that the Lord has made. And yes, we will rejoice and be glad in it. Today, like most days, Black women are faced with holding many emotions. On this day, September 11th, we are reminded of the immense legacy we carry as Black women who have always stood at the forefront of justice, equality, and the fight for democracy. Specifically in this moment, as the wife of a firefighter for 39 years, I am reminded of the 12 Black firefighters who died on 9/11. And as one of the first Black flight attendants for American Airlines, hired in the 70s, as a result of a long legal battle, I'm thinking about my former coworkers, 25 of them, that lost their lives on that very sad day. Flights 77, Flight 57 crashed into the Pentagon and the Twin Towers. From the earliest moments of freedom, we have shown courage that knows no bounds and resilience that never falters. We are the torch bearers, standing in the gap not only for ourselves, but for all who are marginalized, oppressed, and unseen. In every movement, whether in the streets, the halls of Congress, or the courtrooms, we have fought relentlessly for justice and human dignity. Last week, I was so deeply inspired by the success of Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, whose new book, The Lovely One, became a #1 bestseller. Her triumph is our triumph. We fought for her. Melanie, the Black Women's Roundtable, fought for her. Every hearing, every challenge, every delay. And now she sits on the highest court in this nation, a lifetime appointment that ensures her voice will resonate through history. Her presence on the bench is a testament to what our collective action can achieve. Let's do that again in 54 days. Like her, we are called to both be fierce and faithful in this work. We are the ones who push through the boundaries, demand justice, and dream of a better world. May we continue to rise with the same boldness, knowing that our strength, our resilience, and our unwavering commitment to justice will always light the path forward. May we be reminded that no challenge is too great when we stand together, and no dream is beyond reach when we walk with faith. Let us press on with renewed hope, for the fight is not over yet, but we are well equipped for this journey ahead. And why? Because we are the Black Women's Roundtable.
Thank you so much, Barbara Perkins. We are always so blessed and grateful to have you with us. We love you so much. We're going to move right into our discussion, and we are asking, I'm funny on purpose. After we hear from our vice chair of the board of NCBCP and convener of the Black Women's Roundtable, we want to hear from Diane Babineau. Diane, can you give us a few remarks? Can you guys give her a good welcome this morning?
Good morning, and I'm going to be obedient and welcome you from the National Coalition on Black Civil Participation. This is our 16th annual Black Women's Roundtable Policy Forum. And as you heard, we got the message, we got our charge, and let's do it again. Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. Did y'all hear that? I couldn't even set the timer up. She was so swift. Thank you so much, Diane. Be very clear. I'm doing this in good love and good haste because we have amazing women with us today, but we want to stay on message and on time. So you see this. I hope you can see this. I will be holding this up because every response will get 1 minute. And we want to move with decency and in order. Is that all right? I can't get no help in here. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right. And so today's power table, the first topic, power of the ballot. Black women are owning our power and making her story. Black women's leaders share strategies to break glass ceilings and win at the ballot box, in the boardroom, at the bargaining table, in philanthropy, technology, media, culture, internationally, and in the halls of political power, from the White House to City Hall and more. And so we're going to hear from our first panel, and I will share with you who our panelists are today for Power Table 1. We have with us today Tanya Vesey, President and CEO. You can just wave your hand so folks can know who you are, of OCGPR and advisor for the Rabin Group. Tanya, thank you for being with us today. We have Joy Cheney, founder of JOI Strategies, Senior Policy Advisor for NCBCP and BWR. Joy, can you wave your hands? We can see you. Thank you so much. We also have with us today Minna Demisi, doctor. Let me say that right, because she said her daddy said always say doctor. Dr. Minna Demisi, Senior Vice President and ED of Task Force for Meaningful Change, Universal Music Group. Dr. Minna, did we see you? All right. We have with us our good sister, Dee Marshall, CEO and Managing Partner of Diverse and Engaged LLC. Dee, good to see you. We have with us Sarah McKenzie, Director of Program Strategy and Innovation Solidarity Center, AFL-CIO. Sarah, make sure we wave, and good to see you. We have Gwen McKinney, Campaign Director for Unerased Black Women Speak. We have Rachel Norlander, from a partner at Actum. Rachel, good to see you. We have Dr. Margaret Mitchell, ED, CEO of the YWCA USA. Dr. Mitchell? Okay. We have Monique Presley, Civil Rights Advocate, Make It Make Sense Daily Show. Good to see you. We have Yolanda Richardson, President and CEO, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. Where are you, Yolanda? So happy to see you. Of course, we have Dr. Elsie Scott, PhD and founding director of the Ronald Walters Leadership and Policy Center at the Howard University. Dr. Scott, and also our co-editor of the Black Women's Roundtable 11th Annual Report. We have Zakia Thomas, President and CEO of the ERA Coalition. We have Joycelyn Tate, Senior Tech Policy Advisor for the Black Women's Roundtable and NCBCP. Joycelyn, good morning. We have Cassandra Welchling, Executive Director and co-convener of the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable. Cassandra, good morning. We have Robin Williams, co-convener of the Maryland, D.C. BWR. Good morning, Robin. Last but not least, we have Renee Hall, National First Vice President of Noble. Where are you, Renee? So good to see you all. And so we're going to get started on our first question. And remember, ladies, we will be having 1-minute responses. And I certainly don't want to keep you all from sharing your thoughts. We're going to be on time. We're not going to try to do nothing. You can't try to, I dare you to try to sit up or sit down right now. We're going to do it or we're not. And we're going to do it. Is that all right?
Yes.
Our very first question today, as we talk about glass ceilings, as Black women in leadership, how have you owned your power and broken glass ceilings? How have you done that? We're going to start with that first question. We're going to work around. I'm going to start right across from me. Dee Marshall. Dee Marshall, you can see this real good, can't you, sis? I get amen. Can you see this? How are you going to own that? How are you going to, as Black women in leadership, how have you owned your power and broken glass ceilings? You have 1 amazing minute to respond, and go.
All right. And so I think, owning our power, or for me personally, it's owning my voice, and in spaces, particularly white spaces where we are not at the table. So it's owning my voice. And in a lot of those spaces, corporate spaces, it is breaking ceilings in terms of being willing to be a truth teller in the moment. And so how I am using my voice and breaking through ceilings, it's sitting at tables that look like this or not like this. But if I look to the right and to the left, and if I am the only room there, the only one in that room, breaking the ceiling means confronting when corporate folks talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we're not at the table. And my name is DC Marshall, CEO and Managing Partner of Diverse and Engage, and I yield my time.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate your time. You did that in 1 minute. I appreciate you. We are grateful for you, DC Marshall. I'm going to keep the questions going, and we also have on this first panel with us, very excited to have her as well. We'd love to hear from Joy Chady. I need to hear from you about how you are owning your power and breaking glass ceilings. Joy, I need to hear from you, Joy.
Yes, it's good to be here. I'm going to follow in my sister Dee's example and stick with the 1 minute. So this is an important year for Kamala Harris, right? But it's also the year of Sonia Massey and Claudine Gay and the Fearless Fund. So we know that as great as things feel, especially after last night, we have a long way to go, and racism and misogyny are going to have their last gasps. And so we have a lot to fight for. The way I'm owning my power right now is I'm doing what we saw Vice President Harris do in the debate. I'm focusing on the work. I'm leaving behind any foolishness. I'm not taking the debate. I'm focusing on my work. I'm focusing on bringing other people in, listening to their stories and sharing their stories in places where they are not, but I am. That's what I am doing. I think that's what we saw. We need to remain focused in this moment.
That's right. Thank you so much, Joy. My gosh, Joy, you did that in 55 seconds. To God be the glory. We're going to keep this thing going. We'd love to hear now from Gwen McKinney. Gwen, as campaign director, how are you owning your power and breaking glass ceilings? We want to hear from you.
Thank you, Michelle. I mean, you make me nervous. You got a big gun up in there. Yes. I would say, as someone who cut my teeth over 30 plus years as a communication strategist running the first African-American woman-owned PR firm in DC, committed to social justice, that there are two ceilings. One ceiling, which is a glass ceiling that is systemic, and that is something that we have to together break. But the other ceiling is a ceiling that lives within us as sisters, as Black women. And I think that the key to breaking that ceiling is connecting with those who have opened a door for us and to those who we have to pass the baton to. And together we crash to the top.
All right. Okay. You know what? I'm loving this. 52 seconds. And that was powerful. Thank you so much, Gwen. Dr. Margaret Mitchell, how are you doing that? How are you breaking these glass ceilings and using your power? How are we doing that?
Thank you. I think it's so important that we show up as our authentic selves and that we keep our shoes on at all times because there's glass all around us. And we have to remember the legacy that we are standing on, the power of the historic women who have paved the way for us to be where we are, and ensuring that we are leaving doors open so that young women can zoom past us to do the work that is needed to be done. Thank you.
My word. 29 seconds. We are moving today. Thank you so much, Dr. Mitchell. Thank you so much, Dr. Mitchell. Joycelyn Tate, how are you, as from that tech space, how are you owning your power and how are you breaking glass ceilings? And we need a microphone down there. Can you all help us out? Joycelyn Tate.
Hello. Let me start by saying that I work in technology, and I've worked in technology for several years, which is a male-dominated industry. So one way that I have broken the glass ceiling, I owned my power, is when I started out, I started in television, and I worked in the technical area that was dominated by men. And one of the things that I said, you know, I had to be bold about it. They kind of bristled, but I said, one thing we're not going to do anymore is we're not going to talk about women who are on the set during programs over the headset. They say things like, because you all don't hear all of this that goes on in the control room over the headset, when they say things like, oh, pull out the camera, let me see her wheels, and things like that. So we're not going to do this anymore. I don't want to hear it. And you're disrespecting me, and you're disrespecting that woman that's on the set. They bristled, and some other things that happened that I won't go into. So that was one of the ways that I owned my power. When I moved into tech policy, it was predominantly white men. And so I had to come into the room and say, and these white men were saying things that they felt were the way things should be from their perspective. So I had to own my power again and say, no, you're not inclusive enough. You're not considering Black people.
Thank you so much.
And their needs.
Thank you so much, Joyce. I apologize.
That's it? No, but that's the way I've been owning my power.
Thank you so much, Joyce Lynn. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. We're going to keep the conversation going. Can we hear now about your power being owned? Tell us how you're owning your power, Zakia Thomas over there at the ERA Coalition. Let us know how you are doing that and breaking glass ceilings there.
As you can imagine, with the ERA, there are a lot of older white women who think I don't belong there.
Wow.
So when I come to the table, I make sure that everyone understands it's not just about you, it's not just about them, it's about all of us. Everyone in this room needs to stand up and make sure we're taking care of all of us. Because if we don't do that, we're not going anywhere.
Zakia, you have a little more time. You go ahead and expound. You got a couple more seconds. Say a couple more things.
So I am usually the only person who looks like me in a room. So I use my voice every single day to make sure people understand that the folks who aren't at the table need to have representation, and that's why I'm there. I want to make sure all of us are heard and that people understand we're not just going to sit back and take this. We're going to move forward and we're going to get shit done.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Thank you so much, Zakia, for everything that you just said, everything. All of that. We also want to hear from Robin Williams, our co-convener over there in Maryland, D.C. How are you owning your power and breaking glass ceilings, Robin?
Yes, coming out of the labor movement since I was 21 years old as a member and then a organizer and then one of the leaders, I'm owning my own power by being my own self. Coming in as your own Black woman self. No matter what room you're in, what table you're at, you be your own Black woman self. And then you create your own work. Don't be afraid to create the work, write up the work, and put a budget to the work because we need money to do our work. And then always when you're at the table, when I'm at the table, I remember who I represent, not just myself, but I represent the people that look like me, that need to be at the table, that don't have the voice at the table. And then make sure that we stay on the issues because our people have issues. So we represent them, we represent their issues, and we should never be afraid to be who we are, whether you know if we Black or not. You know who we are.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Love to hear from Dr. Elsie Scott right now. Dr. Scott, how are you owning your power and breaking glass ceilings? Can you help us know how you're doing that?
Yes. Good morning. I found that I've been able to break ceilings. I've been able to show my power by first walking in the room without a big stick. And they underestimate me because they think I'm a nice, quiet person. And they start ignoring me. And when they start ignoring me, then I pull my big stick out of my bag and start hammering home.
I love it. I love that big stick.
I know you right.
Watch your mouth now, Dr. Scott. The big stick now. We want to hear from you, Renee Hall, over there at the National First Vice President of Noble. How are you owning your power and how are you breaking glass ceilings?
Well, I'll start with breaking glass ceilings first. As a Black woman in law enforcement, I matriculated nearly 20 years in the Detroit Police Department to become later the first woman to ever hold the position as police chief in the city of Dallas.
No, that's right.
So in that racially divisive location, I owned my power by focusing on community and being a change agent and bringing forth community changes The community wanted for more than 40 years to have accountability, transparency, and culture change, which looking at Tyreek Hill, we know we still need. So in my role, being bold in my leadership, bringing forth an oversight board that they wanted for more than 40 years. So I say when we're in this space, we have a duty and a responsibility to the people that we serve. And that's how I use my power as a leader in law enforcement.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hall. And if you guys aren't familiar, Tyreek Hill is the star player on the Miami Dolphins that was pulled over by the police on his way to the opening game.
The other day.
And then when he got a touchdown that day, he put his hands behind his back. Thank you so much for your work. Cassandra Welshin, how are you owning your power? How are you breaking glass ceilings down there in the great state and beyond of Mississippi?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you this morning for having me and doing this, as you always have, Melanie. So my history, like the stories of many Black women, is rich with stories of extraordinary women who's fought for equality and justice. And I am a daughter born on the great soil of Mississippi, built and benefited from women like Fannie Lou Hamer and Ida B. Wells. In 2015, I co-founded an initiative called the Mississippi Women's Economic Security Initiative. That was the first in the South that centered the needs of women and that centered Black women. And so we come to the table at the state capitol. People know, here come Cassandra and all her Black women and talking about equal pay, child care, paid leave, sick leave, reproductive health, all of those things, because we believe that the policy table should look like people's kitchen tables.
Come on now. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. We want to hear from right across from you. We want to hear from you, Sister Monique. Yes, Sister Monique Presley, civil rights advocate. Can you help us understand how you are breaking glass ceilings and owning your power?
So one of the ways that I've been owning my power since I became a trial lawyer about 30 years ago is by never being afraid to take the unpopular but just position. There are many times when we use our advocacy to join bandwagons. And then there are times when we are needed to defend those who it is unpopular to defend and to take positions that are righteous but aren't felt by all. The only way that I believe we advance forward is when we use our voices and put at risk our own popularity, our own being liked and friended, our own being followed in order to stand up for that which is right and stand up for people who don't have others speaking for them. The second way that I've done it is by doing the thing that I was complaining about not seeing done. I started Make It Make Sense so that I could provide news and information in a way that wasn't crosstalk, that wasn't clapback, that wasn't gotcha moments, but instead was actually trying to give our people the information that they need and the time that they need it. Thank you for this, Mel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your work. We want to go over here and hear from Tanya Vesey, President and CEO. How are you owning your power and breaking glass ceilings?
So first of all, this is such a powerful, powerful round table. A couple of ways. I think for me, it is being disruptor to the system. And usually the system doesn't work for us. So when you do invite me in the room, and most of the time it's by mistake, because when I start talking, then they're like, who let her in here? So, but when I am in those types of situations, I am always going to tell it like it is, tell the truth, make sure that the most marginalized people who never get an opportunity to be in the room, that I bring them in the room with me. I grew up the youngest of 10. My mother was a widow with 10 children at the age of 39. And I will never, ever, ever not bring her in the room with me. And so for me, it's about being authentic, being an advocate, and never losing an opportunity to remind people of the folks who are not in the room. And when they take my chair away from me, I then go and create my own room and my own table. And so I think for me, I think we need to remember that sometimes when we're not in the room, it is okay for us to have a meeting outside of the room.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you thoroughly. We want to hear now from Dr. Mena Demesi. How are you breaking ceilings and owning your power?
Yes, and let me thank Tiny VC for her comments as well. She was my former boss, and so when you talk about breaking class ceilings, you have examples right here. Of course, I'm a political scientist, which means I'm a storyteller of Black politics. So part of this story is sharing the stories about you and knowing the history, right? So for instance, Dr. Scott, who first hired me at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, is the only woman who ever served as president of the National Conference of Black Political Scientists while she was a graduate student, 1980. I share that because I was doing my research with mentors who were looking out for me. And so we need to tell that story. You know, there are people that are writing and researching about you, people like Nadia Brown at Georgetown University, Pearl Fordeaux at Emory University, Dr. Melanie Price at Prairie View A&M, Wendy Smith at the Ohio State University. They're writing about you and they're making sure it's codified in history so we understand that this is not something we just made up. We are a critical mass of people that based off of our interest in helping not just ourselves. We don't think about ourselves at the ballot box. We think about our entire community. And so what breaking the glass ceiling looks like for me is making sure that the right books are being shared about the true lived histories and experiences and contributions of Black women across the globe to our country. And we saw last night that history will continue to be made.
Thank you so much.
In the corporate space, I'll just say equity and philanthropy. And at Universal Music Group, because of that collective mindset, we have been able to fund all kinds of nonprofits run by Black women who are making contributions to the Black community through unrestricted donations. And so the methodology is important. So I just want to share that. So
we appreciate you. We appreciate you so much. And we are so excited to have you with us today to share those kinds of insights. It means a lot to us. We really appreciate you. And we're going to keep that conversation going. We want to hear now from Rachel Norlander from Actum, a partner at Actum.
Good morning, sisters.
Good morning.
Blessed to be here and such gratitude to all of you. I honor all of you. So I own my power strictly through creating narratives and amplifying us. I am the only Black female partner in the founding class of a global public strategy company called Actum. And before that, I was the only Black female partner at another public strategy company. I'm not proud of that because there should be 100 of us. But my barometer for how well I do in terms of breaking the glass ceiling is how many women and men I lift with me. And you know, it was mentioned earlier, the Fearless Fund, whom I represent. And I will be the first to tell you that today, less than an hour ago, it was announced that that case has been settled.
All right, congratulations.
And the significance of this is that the CEO, Arian Simone, has now announced that she is creating a $200 million debt fund to provide financing for others. So for me, owning our power is creating equity for each other and lifting each other as we climb. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And we are so excited. Can we clap again for that fund? Can we clap about that's a big deal, a very big deal. Last but not least, on our first question and breaking news. You got it first. We heard it first from you. Breaking news. Last but not least, on our first question, we want to hear from Yolanda Johnson, President and CEO of Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. Yolanda?
Hello, good morning, sister. So nice to be here with all of you. One of the things that I think has really worked for me is to be completely clear that I will always be underestimated. And because I started that place of being underestimated, That is where I take my greatest power. I use that time and that space to lay the pathway for success. I can remember showing up at Yale Law School as a scrappy little working class kid from Shreveport, Louisiana. But you know what I had at my back? I had the Black church at my back. I had Black college at my back.
That's right. Say that.
I completely owned that space in a way that no one could have possibly expected. When I got to Wall Street, I owned that space because I had the Black church at my back. I had the Black college at my back. So taking advantage of what is almost invariably going to happen to us as Black women is being underestimated and using that time and that space to lay the pathway for your success.
I love it. I love it. Being underestimated. And we heard from them about our first question, and now we're going to finish up with our second question to our panelists. Super excited to hear from you about this response. And really, can I just thank you all for just being very timely today? I'm so grateful. Can y'all just clap for yourselves? Y'all did that. Our second question for our panel one today. Ladies. And the president's reminding me that it's 1 minute, as if this big black, timer ain't letting y'all know it's only 1 minute. We're going to praise God anyway. Our last question for our panel one today. Ladies, it's an election year. And leadership is impacted by elections. And we will talk about that in the next panel. But my final question to you is, what are you going to do to help the next generation of Black women leaders break their ceilings, and realize their dreams? How are you going to pay it forward? We're just going to start with our panelists who are on panel one, and you know who you are. We're going to start here with you, Robin, and work our way around. I'm going to give you that question again. What are you going to do to help the next generation of Black women leaders break their ceilings and realize their dreams?
Yes, I'm glad you said next generation of Black women leaders. They're already leaders. One, we're going to identify them. Two, we bring them to the table. And three, we let them lead on projects, lead on speaking engagements. We have to give them opportunity, open doors. That's what happened to most of us. That's why we're sitting at this table again. I'm looking across there at Cleola Brown. Many of us sitting here because of Cleola Brown. We have to remember that one day we might want to do something else. So we have to continue to bring them along with us. They're already leaders. Hey, they might can write the plan better than we can. I know they can walk the streets faster than I can. So, and this is what we have to do. What we're doing, Black Women's Roundtable in Maryland, we're continuing our work. We already organized in our barbershop and our beauty shop, Sister Talk in the beauty shop. And we're going to be talking to young people, and we must listen. Their issues may not be our issues, so we must listen. So we're talking about the right issues.
Thank you so much, Robin. Joycelyn.
One thing that I'm doing to pass it on to the next generation, and before I say next generation, I want to say we're always talking about the next generation, but sometimes our generation need to look to the left, because sometimes our generation needs help too. So we have to also help each other. But one thing that I do is I have an organization called Jules Table, and I just have conversations with young women or women that need help, and more seasoned women that can help them over dinner, because fellowshipping over food is always it's more of a fellowship. And they share the jewels. That's why I call it Jules Table. The jewels that they know with other women, so that when they experience certain things, they'll know how to recognize those things, and they'll have some idea and some options of how to deal with them. And I just want to say this one thing about biblically, I believe that you should have a Paul in your life, because Paul was someone who shared wisdom. You should have a Barnabas in your life, because Barnabas was Paul's ride or die that went with him as apostle. So you should have a peer that you can always bounce things off of. And you should also have a Timothy in your life, someone that you pour into, because Paul took Timothy along with him on his journey so that he could learn. So if you have all those three types of people in your life, somebody's pouring into you, you're learning with your peer, and then you're pouring into somebody else.
Thank you so much, Joycelyn. Our next panelist. How are you going to do that for the?
Yes, Joy Cheney, I'm going to pick up where Joy Sloan left off. Frankly, if they're running for office, I'm giving money. If they are owning a business, I'm contracting with them. I'm working with them. If they are a consultant like me or whatnot or whomever, if I get a press inquiry, many of us are getting lots of them right now. If you can't go or if you're not the right person, pass it on. Have a group of people right next to your desk where you can say, oh, you know what, I can't do it, but here are the names of the other people. And if you're one of those people, ask for it. Say, hey, if you can't do it, can I do it? Those are the things that we have to do. No more advice, no more mentor or giving sponsorship. Unabashedly doing what Melanie does, supporting Black women.
That part.
Giving them opportunities, not talking about them. Do not gossip about your sister. We don't have time. If she did something wrong, fix her crown privately.
Come on,
no
sis.
one needs
Come
to
on,
know
sis.
about it publicly. And with that, thank you, sis.
You did that in 58 seconds, and we gonna fix your crown. We are so grateful for you, Joy. Who's next? Thank you so much.
Monique Presley.
Monique,
And
yes.
I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she's a warrior queen. She has wings already. I'm trying not to mess her up. My goal with our young women is to allow them to be exactly who they are, right where they are, to encourage them by speaking into them. You got it, baby. You got it. You're doing it. You're going. However, I can help you. I will help you. But if you don't need my help, I'm out of your way. I'm not going to insist upon my way with my daughter or with our daughters coming behind us. I remember that age, and I think we can foster it by infusing into them the encouragement that they've got the right stuff.
Thank you so much for that, Monique. And yes, you remember those ages. I like people who remember and don't have selective amnesia. They were once 18. Some of y'all have selective amnesia and forget. Sandra?
Yes, Cassandra Welchland. It's very interesting you said that. I also have this 19-year-old daughter who is now at Tougaloo College staying on campus. And she called me this morning with all of her friends in her dorm room to say, Mama, what you think about that debate? I called and texted you all night and you didn't respond. And I said, well, I was asleep. She said, well, you got to be responsive to me. And I think that is it. But Robin said, we got to be responsive when they need us to be responsive to them. And also trusting them. I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus. I'm on the struggle bus. But I'm trusting them. I come from a place, too, where there's a Hollis Watkins who taught me in this movement, right, that intergenerational movements are important and intergenerational organizing is important. And so what I do is I do create these tables and spaces where young people can be a part of it. And I humble myself. I'm learning. I'm on the struggle bus. I'm learning to humble myself so that they can take their seats at these tables.
Thank you so much for that, Cassandra. And thank you for your transparency about the struggle, because the struggle is real.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Yep, DC Marshall. So
DC Marshall.
Oh, okay. So two things I'll say. So one, in a formal capacity, whenever I'm invited to do strategy or leadership, whether there's a budget or not, and there's Black women, I'm showing up. So this past Sunday, I was with 11 state representative state senators with Emerge, and it didn't matter if it was Sunday, if it was Saturday night, if it was Monday morning at 6 a.m., I was going to show up. So I try my best to show up. But secondly, what I'm doing is inviting young women and women leaders to come alongside and creating roles and seats with them. On September 26th, and I neglected to say this, say September 26th. September 26th in the state of New Jersey, I am convening a state of DEI emergency. And I had to say this because my mentors here, Dr. Skinner And then Dr. Scott is here and Rachel and, hanging out with Melanie and all of the state leaders. It's using my access for good to advocate for our people. So on September 26th, I've invited the state senator, Angela McKnight, who is really backfilling for Congressman Donald Payne, who we lost, and who was a champion of DEI and looking out for our people in our state. He died. I couldn't figure out how to recalibrate, and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman said it's Senator Angela McKnight. So we will convene that meeting, Rachel. It's Thursday, September 26th in the state of New Jersey. Then we're going to go to the governor and demand that the governor help us to come up with, or tell him about, an offensive strategy, not a defensive strategy, when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm bringing young women along in that meeting and opting out so they can have the microphone. My name is DC Marshall.
Thank you so much. Okay, and our next panelist, can you give us your 1-minute remark as well? We're going right down the row. Rachel?
Oh, gosh.
There we go.
Please forgive me.
No worries.
I was looking at my notes, and I was actually looking at, I was trying to think about, by the own polling that Black Women's Roundtable has done, there are a lot of things that we need to be mindful of so that we can lift our younger sisters and brothers in this process, right? Because they're thinking differently a little bit than we are in this time. And there is unequivocally a clear generational gap among young Black voters. Now, look, after last night, I think hopefully everybody has decided, but there is still a lot of work that we have to do to lift our young brothers and sisters in this process. And some of that is about meeting them where they are. My son is 27 years old, and he, up until literally just recently, he was vehemently opposed to the notion of a former prosecutor running this country because he had one of the worst cases of prosecutorial manslaughter that I have personally witnessed. But he has changed because he looked at Project 2025. And as a young person, he said, under no circumstance, I'm a father now, I will not support this. So I think young people just need room to grow, and they need us to help them in that process.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Mr. Mitchell?
I think it's so important for us not to just talk about it, but to be about it and be in the duology of making sure that we are bringing young people. We just did a poll with Hit Strategies that did an oversampling of Gen Z. We also just did a national town hall on Saturday in Philadelphia that was designed by Gen Z, centered on Gen Z, featured Gen Z. I'm so grateful to the Black Women's Roundtable for their participation in our national town hall featuring our Gen Z voices. And we have to be able to make sure that we are creating that space so that they are leading, activating, doing, being, because they are essential. 8 million first-time voters are going to be eligible to have their voice heard in this election on November 5th. 8 million first-time voters. This is absolutely essential. They are not watching ABC. They are not watching CNN. We have to reach them, each one of them. And Gen Z is our pathway to being able to do that.
Thank you.
The time is now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mitchell. Yes, it is. The time certainly is now. Our next panelist.
So a couple of things that I do. One thing that I do is, as a previous CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, I make it a point to give every CBC fellow and intern my personal email address and telephone number and ask them to call me if they want someone to help them navigate Washington, D.C. and understand the importance of what this one opportunity can do for your career. And I will tell you, I give it to any and all of them, and maybe 10% of them will take me up on their offer, on my offer. But I try to encourage them to please call me, let me know. That's one thing that I do. The second thing that I do, because I hear a lot of this from young people who go to college, they get a degree, and they cannot find a job. So I have started to host an internship summit in my hometown, and I bring companies in to specifically hire Black interns, and we do a workshop and all of those things. And so that's just one of the two things that I do.
Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you. We appreciate how you're paying that forward. Next.
Thanks. And very much following up on that, it's really just to me about 3 words: take the call. And so when people reach out to you, I have never, ever not taken a call from a friend, a colleague, anyone else, where they wanted to have me speak with a young person. I wasn't always able to make a transactional relationship, but I was always able to affirm their passion, their mission, their goals, and their lives. So take the call.
Thank you so much. Take the call.
Okay.
All right.
Michelle, can I get 5 seconds to say you are awesome? Don't put that on my time. This is fabulous. Everybody, let's clap.
President Melanie Campbell said it's on your time, sis.
All right.
That wasn't me. That was President Melanie Campbell.
I done lost 10 seconds. All right. What do we do? One of the things I want to say that I didn't say before, after I left K Street and the PR firm, I started a new entity called Unerased Black Women Speak. The idea is that we have to have our voice. We cannot be muted or invisibilized or erased. So that's one. 2, I think as a boomer, we have not done the best job of helping even, frankly, the Xers and the millennials, and especially the Zs, know who we are. So if I say Daisy Bates or Diane Nash or Mahalia Jackson, I get blank stares. Y'all, we have to help our young people understand our history.
Absolutely. And
Shoulders we
Sister Gwen.
stand on.
And we got,
I
and
know.
I'm going to give you a blank stare right now because we at 12:02 and we have to be out of here by 12:30. We
That's
are so
it.
grateful.
Know our history, Michelle.
We are so grateful for that. Absolutely. Can we keep it going? And thank you so
Yes.
much. 30 seconds because we have to get to our
yes.
second panel. We want to give them just as much time as we can.
Yes,
Respect
I
their
will-
time and being with us.
Thank you. I will say, be kind, be loving. As Dr. Bernice King will tell us, be love. Do not fall into the trap of having to be the token sister and make your success based on putting other folks down. We are brilliant people. We have resilience, unprecedented, and we have only elevated because others have helped us. So, be accessible, like Gwen said, not just literally, but figuratively, which means demystify the idea that your success was because you just had it made and you did all the things. Tell the stories of challenge and failure, because that's what's going to help people feel reachable and feel like they can actually talk to you to get to the next place. So, understand also the value proposition of social capital for our community. You can do all the things, look great on paper, do all the things and still not make it. And the goal is to understand that all of our community has made it because we have relied on each other. The Black women's vote, the Black women's mobilizing power, we see it every single day, and it is the reason we are where we are today.
Thank you so much, Dr. DeMessi. Our next one, 30 seconds, please.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sarah McKenzie, and I'm going to ask for a little grace on mine because I didn't get a chance to answer the first question. But I will not take too long. What I'll say is this. What I do is I organize young women. I organize women globally, right? And I'm going to continue to organize young women so that they can meet their dreams, right? And collectively, because it really is about making change and them acting collectively. And so I've worked for the labor movement for nearly 30 years. And yes, Cleola, I cannot believe it's been that long, right? And so in this time, I've seen the dreams of women in Uganda, Sudan, and Cleveland, Ohio, right? All of that, right? And let me tell you, helping these women fulfill those dreams is really the goal. The glass ceiling is the milestone, right? Because they got more work to do. And so I want to stand with them until they meet their dreams, as long as I can, right? And so that's where I really that's what I want to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. 30 seconds so we can hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that I am blessed to be a part of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, who both women and men focus on the leadership of women. We have a women's symposium committee, a women's empowerment committee that focuses on building our next generation. We are partnering with HBCUs and high schools and bringing in our partners at the Department of Justice, federal government, and others to ensure that they're employed, and we're making sure that they have resources and the opportunity to be successful in the future.
Thank you so much, Sister Hall. Dr. Scott, Dr.
Yes.
Cook.
Most of us who teach at and work at HBCUs, you see what we are doing every day in terms of helping to mold the next generation. And the fact that my name has been mentioned by several people around this table, I think that speaks for itself in terms of what I'm trying to do. But let me just say, I try to often search out young ladies who don't have a lot of support, because there are some that are very bright and we just latch onto them and we push them. But then often there's these shy girls, there's these young people who don't have any money. And so I try to identify them and help them to step up to the table, because I see a potential in them that they often don't see in themselves.
Thank you so much, Dr. Scott. Zakia from ERA.
In my spare time, I teach a class on how to run for political office at Georgetown Law. Every semester, I have young Black women in there who are looking to make change and be that next elected official in their hometown. So I prepare them by giving them actual tools. I teach them, this is how you run for office. My greatest success in that has been the first year I taught it, a young woman then took that playbook that she earned in our class and ran for Congress. She would not have done that had she not taken that class and had she not felt empowered. So that's what I get to do in my role as a teacher. And as a proud auntie of 2 young girls and 2 young boys, every single day we help uplift those children and show them what the world could be like if they stepped into their role. And that's what we need to do to empower them to break their own glass ceilings.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Skinner, still got a last word for this first panel.
Sorry?
You'll be our last person for the first panel to say, Dr. Skinner, the president wanted you to give a remark on that.
Yes, if the question is about what we do to break the glass ceiling.
No, to pay it forward to our future Black, our young Black leaders right now. What are you doing to pay it forward?
Oh, you have to expose. You can't occupy the space of power and not open, as Dr. Haidt said in her book, open wide the gates of freedom and bring as many young women in. Maybe they've never been to a board meeting or whatever. They have not been on Capitol Hill. They've not been in the White House, never been to the State House, the Governor House. It's your job. It's your job to walk them through that so that when your time is up, or even while you're there, you're not passing a match, you're passing a torch.
Absolutely. And so you actually started our second panel, Dr. Skinner. You were actually on our second panel. We want to clap for our first set of panelists. Were they not outstanding? We appreciate them. We are grateful for them, and we are grateful for you guys sitting with us. We're going to go right into our second panel as we have to move quickly. We have to be out of our space in less than 21 minutes. The next topic for our second panel, we are winning, fighting for future generations, and we won't go back. Black women leaders share what they are doing to maximize the power of the sister vote across generations in the 2024 presidential elections up and down the ballot. Panelists will also discuss what policy priorities they recommend be included in a Black women and families agenda to promote and organize for the first 100 days of the next administration and Congress and beyond, including reducing racial, gender, income, wealth, education, and health disparities, importance of reforming the U.S. Supreme Court to protect our rights, freedoms, democracy, and opportunities, and other key policies. And so our second set of panelists that'll be with us today, we have Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner, who you heard from just now, who's the co-chair of the National African American Clergy Network. We'll also have Deborah Scott, CEO of Georgia Stand Up. Wave your hand, Deborah. We will also have Cleola Brown, National President of A. Philip Randolph Institute. Felicia Davis, Managing Director of the HBCU Green Fund. We will also have with us Marcia Johnson, Co-Director of Voting Rights Project, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under the Law. We will also have Lakita Honeysucker, Director of Civil Rights and Community Action Department, United Food and Commercial Workers Union. Lakita, there you are. We'll also have Judy Beard, So you're all here. Absolutely. We'll also have Judy Beard, Legislative and Political Director for American Postal Workers Union. Good to see you, Judy. We will also have Marcia Johnson, Co-Director for Voting Rights. I did that already. Janice Mathis, General Counsel for National Council of Negro Women. So happy to have you with us. Donna Mitchell, Dr. Donna Mitchell, Director of Minority Advancement Department of Leona. Did I say it correctly? Lyuna, thank you so much for being with us. We have Reverend Dr. Judith Moore, convener of the Black Women's Roundtable Pittsburgh, Western PA, and Executive Director of Sisters Saving Ourselves. We have Becky Pringle, President, National Education Association. We have Tara Murray, Senior Vice President, Policy and Advocacy for the National Urban League. Good to see you, Tara. We have Ebony Riley, Senior Vice President of Policy and Strategic Partnerships for the National Action Network. Happy to have you. We have Monica Simpson, Executive Director of Sister Song. Monica, where are you today? So happy to have you with us. We also have Maya Riley, President and CEO of Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. Maya? I did that one as well. And I did that one as well. We have Letitia Jackson, convener of the South Alabama Black Women's Roundtable. We are so happy to have you, Letitia. We have Tanya Clayhouse, Chair of Civil Rights Section for National Bar Association. Tanya, good to see you again today. We have Naila Rosario, National Policy Director at One Fair Wage. Naila, good to have you all today. And so we're going to move differently in this one as we have to move swiftly, but we want to hear from you. So we're going to give you one question, and we're going to ask you to answer that question for us. And the question reads as such. We're 55 days away. 55 days away from the most consequential election of our lifetime. Stop me when I'm lying. Share one thing your organization is doing to continue the fight for the rights and freedoms of future generations. And I want you to think about that before you open your mouths, because you get one thing. But more than that, it is a consequential time in her story. Because let's be clear. Her story is American history. Yes. And so we want to know the one thing your organization is doing. And we want to hear first from Becky Pringle, President of the National Education Association. The one thing you're doing. And we're going to give you 2 minutes.
290 words.
Let me begin by saying that we have less than 55 days. I don't know how many of you have the countdown clock on your phone, but I have the countdown clock on my phone because I need to know what I'm doing every single second of every minute of every day of every week leading up to November 5th. I am Becky Pringle. I'm a science teacher, 8th grade science teacher, and I have the honor of being the president of the largest labor union in this country, the National Education Association. We have 3 million members. We have members in every single congressional district, and this is what we are doing. We are mobilizing, we are organizing, and yes, Barbara, we are proselytizing, because educator voices are still the most trusted voice in every single community. So from now until the last minute that you can cast your ballot in this election, our members will be training, they will be telling their stories, they will be knocking on doors, they will be making phone calls, they will be making sure that everyone who likes them or loves them or intends to keep living with them, they will vote and they will volunteer and they will make sure that everyone around them understands what is at stake in this election. And let me say this too. We know around this table that we must have a president who sees us, who respects us, who believes in us, and understands the importance of the Constitution of our United States of America. It is we the people, all of us deserve that right. That is what the NEA members will be fighting for from now until November. And we're doing it because we understand that public education is the foundation of this democracy. And so you didn't ask me this question, although it's written here. First 100 days, we have to promote and we have to protect and we have to strengthen public education in this country. We have to stop voucherizing it and privatizing it. We have to strengthen it into a system that is racially and socially just and equitable and prepares everyone to succeed in this diverse and interdependent world. That is what the NEA is doing. We are going to win all the things because we will not only have a president that will lead us, but we will make sure that she has a House and a Senate so she can lead in a bold way and pass policies so we can win all the things for our babies.
Say that.
Well. That's right.
This microphone is hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot now.
No, it's hot.
Y'all done got hot. You done got me hot, Becky. Becky with the good hair. Let's go. Dr. Skinner, we want to hear from you now. Becky, we did want to know and how can they become a part of that? How can people become a part of doing that work with you all at NEA? Real quick, Becky, real quick before we go to Dr. Skinner. We want everybody to answer that as well. Answer that one question and tell them how they can get involved. Okay?
Did you want me to start? NEA.org. We need you to become an education activist.
That's right.
I'm following a prophet named Sam Cooke who sang a change is going to come. So Faith United to Save Democracy, multiracial, multi-faith, multi-generational, is organizing right now from Arizona to Wisconsin, all of the battleground states, 1,000 poll chaplain and peacekeepers. You don't have to be ordained. You just have to care that the seniors get wheelchairs, that those with language challenges get an interpreter, that young people get cared for, that people who are scared to vote get covered. We have peacekeeping training as well. Monday, September 16th, go to turnoutsunday.com at 7 o'clock, and on the 30th of September. We need our people out there. People are scared to go vote if they don't think we're out there to protect them. So we have clergy in sacred collars or non-ordained. We have labor people working with us. We have National Council of Negro Women and Black Women's Roundtable. Turnoutsunday.com. We have 34 million eligible Black voters. 10 to 12 million unregistered, mostly young and mostly low income. If we don't help, that's the gap of victory or defeat. That's on us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Skinner. Thank you so much. We want to hear from Deborah Scott. Deborah Scott, we want to hear from you this morning. We want to know what your organization is doing in this consequential election season, and we give you 2 minutes, and also how can people get involved?
You started already, so I need you to start.
No,
so when our rights are under attack, what will we do? We're going to stand up and fight back. That's what we're doing here in Georgia, stand up. We are standing up and fighting back. We're hiring hundreds of people to knock on doors around the state. We are calling people. We are hiring young people to run our campaigns. However, Georgia, the road to the White House leads through Georgia, and it leads through Black women. However, we are underfunded. We are underfunded. We are underfunded. funded. The website is georgiastandup.org, and we vote, we win. We need bodies in Georgia right now. We are set up for volunteers. We are set up for you to knock on doors and to call people from your homes wherever you are. We need help. We cannot plan for an inauguration if we don't do the work to get there. We need help. So what we're doing is we're fighting back by making sure our people are in the streets. So when our rights are under attack, what will we do? We're going to stand up and fight back. And we're going to vote, and we're going to vote, and we're going to come back again and vote again, because we have to vote the entire ballot every single election. And we're going to continue to work with each other, because the only way we win is if we work together. Coalition building is the way to go. We need funders to fund Black women. Say, fund Black women.
Fund Black women.
Fund Black women and elect Black women, and fund Black nonprofits. That's it.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you so much. We're going to stand up and fight back. Sister Cleola Brown, what are you going to do to get ready for this consequential election, and how can people get involved?
Well, I tell you one thing, you don't go behind these preachers, teachers, and holiday tweakers. What you do is go with them along the journey, because that's where the power is when we come together to make some good trouble all over this country. Now, sisters, I think the mark was already set when Black women got on a phone call that nobody thought was going to go anywhere. And when those numbers started rolling, 90,000 is what I'm hearing from the right, 45,000 is what I was hearing from the left, and in the center, there's some truth somewhere up in there, okay? But the point is, no one thought it was going to make a difference. But out of that phone call came money, not no change. Real money to start some real good trouble. And then we got folks like white men for Kamala. Lord Jesus, I tell you what, I'm full right now because this is exciting. Watching and working with those who care and understand what the struggle is about. We have 2 minutes, so I'm going to say the rest of it, just like that. Are we 1 minute or 2 minutes?
We got you at 1:15, so.
Okay, well, there you go. I got 45 seconds more, correct?
And now you got 42. You're talking too much. Let's go.
Well, here's the balance of what I want to say, Miss Michelle, all right? You can talk about it is one thing, but being about it is a whole nother thing.
That's right.
Leave all of them titles at home. Leave all of that fancy stuff at home. Put on your doggone sneakers and some jeans and whatever else you have to roll out in and get ready. Because the fight is not going to be won unless you are a part of it. And you can't fake it. You've got to be able to do it. So that's all I got, and I'll give you back 3 seconds.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Judy Beard. Judy Beard. What are you doing to get ready for this consequential election over there at the United Postal Work?
The American Postal Workers Union is doing a lot. We're working in the post office, and we're making sure those mail ballots are being processed in a timely manner. Now, we're just not saying it. We put it in the collective bargaining agreement that the workers would get the ballots out and monitor the floor to make sure they got out over the supervisor's head. So we're going to make sure that those ballots get out, and together we're going to make sure everybody vote. And if they can't go to the polls, or it's inconvenience, or they just prefer voting by mail, let them know that the postal workers will get those ballots out. In addition, we're releasing people and paying our retirees to knock on doors, to make phone calls. And our workers are also making phone calls. We met with our young workers, about 200 of them. Sister Powell organized it, at our conference, and they did what we call hustle. They taxed 45,000 people in 1 hour. 45,000 people in 1 hour. We're recruiting them again to tax people to remind them, make a plan to vote and vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you, Sister Donna Mitchell. What are you guys doing to prepare for this consequential election?
Good morning. LIUNA, or LIUNA, stands for the Laborers International Union of North America. And yes, we are a building trades union, and I am usually the only Black female for a building trades union to represent. So I think what our organization is doing is actually acknowledging and realizing they're members of color and women a lot more. There is a national building trades conference in New Orleans, where I hail from, at the end of this month with 5,000 women. They had to close off the registration. So for once, they are releasing staff member to member, but we're also going into the communities. And we are also giving, Deborah, but like we're giving, and what we want you to do is we're giving to the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, National Council of Negro Women. So work in your chapters with them. This is a first for us. To give outside of union constituency groups. We also give to APRI and CBTU. But we ask you to work in the areas that you already are and realize that labor is important.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to take a moment here to acknowledge and recognize and hear remarks from Nicole Austin Hillary, President and CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. We're so happy to have you with us.
Sorry, I got to stand up because you all are just awesome. I can't sit and talk to you all. I can't hold my peace. Good morning. Good afternoon now. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here with you all. Welcome to ALC53. Yes, ALC53. Look, we know we have so much work to do, but I told my team, because they said, Nicole, you got to go on to the next thing. I said, no. I said, I got to be in here with my sisters. I said, because they are the backbone of everything that is going on now, everything that we have done and achieved, and everything that we will achieve going forward. I want to thank Sister Melanie Campbell for her leadership, her vision. You know, the theme for this year's ALC is From Vision to Victory, Amplifying Black Voices. She is the walking embodiment of that. So thank you. And to so many of my friends and all the leaders who are in this room, thank you. I am grateful for all that you do, and I am grateful for the example you are setting for the rest of the country. I am reminded as I sit in this room and look at you all of one of my favorite books of poetry from when I was in college, called This Bridge Called My Back. And it was a compilation of poems about Black women and the strength of Black women. And it was called that because it said that Black women, our backs are a bridge for everything. For everything that we achieve, every challenge that we have, every success that we have. And I'm reminded of it as I sit here and look around at all the amazing leaders in this room. But I also am going back to it to read it right now, this moment we are in history, where our backs continue to be bridges, not bridges to break, but bridges to uphold. And bridges to succeed. So I am looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you for your continued support of CBCF and your support of this annual legislative conference. I remind people all the time, we have this conference because we're about the business of Black America. Okay. And we do party with a purpose, but that is because we know that work and culture are all a part of our people's history and who we are and what we do. And it is what sustains us and it is what propels us on to success. So thank you all. Have a wonderful ALC. And I'm so proud of each and every one of you and for the work ahead and for the achievements that we make and the history that I know we will make for Black women and for America. Take care.
Thank you. Nicole, you know, I was sitting here and I know I'm messing up on the time, I know. But I just want to pause because the fact that you and two of your predecessors are in the room, Dr. Elsie Scott and Tanya Veazey, we want to make sure if we can get our photographer to come before she leaves, get a picture of that, because the leadership is
unending at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. And, we go way back to voting rights and all of that. And so to know that you're there and we don't take it lightly that we're able to continue this partnership. So I just want to, if y'all help me, the Black Women's Roundtable, just thank you and your predecessors for allowing us to have this kind of unorthodox space in the midst of your conference. So thank you.
So are you guys going to take the picture or are we going to just keep moving? Okay, we're going to keep going. Notice that I had no timer for either one of them. We want to keep this conversation going, though. We want to hear now from Tara Murray, Senior Vice President over there at the National Urban League. Let us know what your organization is doing during this consequential election and how we can get involved.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. Ladies, it's our time. I just want to start by saying that it's our time. And I think you see the energy and feel the energy in this room, feel this energy in our communities because it is our time. And as has already been shared, we're not new to this. We stand on the shoulders of giants, of shoulders like Shirley Chisholm, shoulders like Carol Mosley Braun. And we are here for such a time as this. And so at the National Urban League, we are ensuring that as we are fighting and continuing the fight, that we understand and our community understands what we're fighting for, understands what's at stake in this moment and why it matters for our community. So if you go to NUL.org, you will see that we've done a candidate comparison. We've done a ticket comparison between the Trump-Vance ticket and the Harris-Walz ticket. So make sure that people know what's at stake, what policies are at stake. We also launched a Stop Project 2025 campaign during our national conference in New Orleans in July of this year, because we need people to understand that we are facing such pivotal times in our democracy. Our democracy is at stake, but so many other things. I know we have President Pringle here. Our Department of Education is at stake. Our public education, our housing, our reproductive health care access, our ability and freedom to control our own bodies is at stake in this election, and we need our communities to know that. And so if you go to NUL.org, you can learn more, but thank you again for having us.
Thank you so much for being with us. And right there, right next, yep, go right ahead and let us know again who you are.
Hi, Nyla Rosario with One Fair Wage. Thank you so much for having us here today. One Fair Wage is the national organization that's focused on fighting to raise the wage for 14 million restaurant workers nationwide. We are we've been in the news a lot lately because both presidential candidates have endorsed no tax on tips. So it took restaurant workers to unite Republicans and Democrats. So we're happy to see that. We are now, we published a report actually saying that 2/3 of the restaurant workers now don't even make enough money to pay federal income tax. So the real solution that we need right now is really to eliminate the sub-minimum wage. The sub-minimum wage is really a legacy of slavery that was implemented after emancipation, so they could deny Black workers a wage. Right now, currently.
Oh, Nyla, I'm sorry, sis, because we need to hear from you, but they're going to cut these mics off. We just got word that they're going to cut the mics off in 7 minutes. So we're going
quickly want to wrap up and say that we're really happy.
No, Nyla, we've got a whole other group, so we're going to need you to hold that thought for us, and we'll make sure we'll share it whenever we can. Felicia Davis, if you could just help us move this forward.
I'm going to do clock is ticking.
One thing-
I'm going to 30.
One thing people can do.
In order to move from November 5th, I'm working on November 6th. So on September 17th, we have a National Black Youth Town Hall focused on setting an agenda vision forward. And that is Black Youth Vote with Darrell Coates, HBCU Green Fund, Lady Kenny, Rise with Mary Pat Hector, Until Freedom with Tamika Mallory, and Why Black, Young Black Lawyers with Abdul Dasunmu. So together they will begin to set an agenda, because we understand that the vote itself doesn't get it done. So these young people will be prepared. They will meet at the National Press Club with 100 young Black leaders planning an agenda going forward. And I'm passing the mic.
Thank you so much. One thing that people can do.
One thing that people can do is stand on business and make sure that you vote, that everyone in your inner circle votes, and all of the people around you votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next panelist, Tanya. Right next. There you go, Janice.
It was more.
We have 5 minutes left, so if we can move through, we want to hear from each of you all, especially on this side as well.
Visit ncnw.org to see what we're doing. You can register to vote there. You can plan your ballot. You can check your status. And we started in January. Then we did our Purple Rush on the Hill. And now we're engaged in 17 to 24-year-olds, making sure that they have a plan to vote and know why they're voting. Organizing is a team sport. And so we're privileged to have one of the greatest teams in America. I don't know if they're still here, but if the young folk from NCNW could just quickly, briefly stand up.
Yes, we have to move quickly because they are telling Melanie right now that we're supposed to be out of here. Can we hear from Tanya Clayhouse real quick?
I want to respect everyone's time. Thank you, Janice. Thank you for everything that's doing. Thank you to Cleo and everyone else. Tanya Clayhouse, CEO of Clayhouse Consulting, but I'm also the chair of the Civil Rights section of the National Bar Association. So one thing that we're doing, organizing. We're organizing Black lawyers, Black law students across the country in order to make sure that people are educated about their civic duty in order to protect our democracy and get out and vote, and ensuring that everybody is talking about the intersections that we live in, particularly as a Black woman. We're Black lawyers who weren't allowed originally into the ABA, so therefore we're trying to make sure that we understand what it is our right and our worth, and making sure that everybody else understands that we need to be the leaders in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanya. We're going to move quickly. If you were on the second panel and you didn't have your closing, this is real quick, 30 seconds.
Sure. I'm Laquita Honeysucker with the United Food and Commercial Workers Labor Union. We represent 1.2 million working class people across the country, and we're having economic values driven conversations with our members, and we're also having them go out to have conversations at the door. But I'm encouraging everyone to have conversations where you are. I know everybody's talking about the first 100 days and getting past the election, but we have to get her elected. And as much as people are asking for room on your floor, make sure they've signed up 5 or 6 people to vote, mobilize them to get out and vote, and also organizing for working class people. This has got to be something that is important. We all get up every day. If you get up every day and breathe, you are working.
They're going to cut the mic off. So I'm going to apologize. And I'm going to ask everyone who hasn't spoken at least to acknowledge who you are in this room. They're going to cut this mic off in 30 seconds. I know that Nicole told me that we had a little more time, but the staff is going to do what they're going to do. So.
Oh, Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner.